Muslimatani, muslimataini, muslimataini. Ani will represent rafa status. Aini will represent nasab or jar status. For non-broken plural, for masculine ism, again we will be using ending sounds to identify the status of the ism. We will have the status of the ism on the pattern of muslimuna, muslimina, muslimina. Ending sound una will represent rafa status, and ending sound ina will represent nasab or jar status. We will continue with our study of the status of plural asma. We started our study of the status of non-broken plural asma. We studied the status of masculine non-broken plural, and we reached the conclusion that masculine non-broken plural will be identified by the ending sounds una and ina. Una will represent the rafa status, and the ina ending sound will represent nasab or jar status. We will now study feminine non-broken plural. Previously, we studied that feminine non-broken plural end in the at sounds. For example, muslimat and salihat. Muslimat is the plural version of muslima, and salihat is the plural version of saliha. If we notice, both these asma do not have their finishing touch at the end. Muslimat does not have its finishing touch. Salihat does not have its finishing touch. Both asma are not fully defined towards the end of the ism. Feminine non-broken plural asma will end in two forms: muslimatun and muslimatin, salihatun and salihatin. So if you compare muslimatun to muslimat, muslimatun has its finishing touch. Similarly, muslimatin has its finishing touch as compared to muslimat. Same goes for salihatun and salihatin. All of these asma have their finishing touch at the end of the ism. So we have two ending sounds, atun and atin. To summarize, for feminine non-broken plural, we will have two ending sounds, muslimatun and muslimatin. Muslima is the singular ism which is feminine, and the two forms of its non-broken plural will be muslimatun and muslimatin. Atun ending sound represents the rafa status for feminine non-broken plural, and atin ending sound represents nasab or jar status for feminine non-broken plural. So just like masculine non-broken plural, in feminine non-broken plural, we also need to focus on the ending sound. In masculine non-broken plural, we had the una and ina sounds, and in feminine non-broken plural, we have atun and atin ending sounds. Let us look at some examples of status of feminine non-broken plural. Jannah is a singular feminine ism, and the three versions of its feminine non-broken plural will be jannatun, jannatin, and jannatin. Jannatun represents rafa status, jannatin represents nasab status, and jannatin represents jar status. Atun represents rafa status, atin ending sound represents nasab status, and atin ending sound represents jar status. Next, we have muslimatun, muslimatin, muslimatin. Kafiratun, kafiratin, kafiratin. Talibatun, talibatin, talibatin. Please note that in all these examples, we are not focusing on the harakat at the end of the ism. We are not focusing on double pesh and double zair at the end of the ism, but we are rather focusing on the ending sound. So whenever we come across the ending sound atun, such as jannatun, or atin, such as jannatin, we should be thinking of feminine non-broken plural and the different forms of the status of feminine non-broken plural. To summarize the status of ism or the three forms of ism, for a singular ism, both masculine and feminine, the three forms will be identified by the presence of double pesh, double zabar or double zair on the last alphabet of the ism. For rafa, we will look for double pesh. For nasab, we will look for double zabar, and for jar, we will look for double zair. For Muslim, we have Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. For Muslima, we have Muslimatun, Muslimatan, and Muslimatin. For a dual ism or musanna ism, the status will be identified using the ani or aini ending sound. Rafa status will be identified by the ani ending sound, such as Muslimani or Muslimatani. Nasab status will be identified by the aini ending sound, such as Muslimaini or Muslimataini. And jar status will be identified by the aini ending sound as well, such as Muslimaini or Muslimataini. For non-broken plural, which is masculine, we will look for the una and ina ending sound, such as Muslimuna, which will correlate with the rafa status, and Muslimina, which is for nasab status, and Muslimina, which is also for jar status. So una ending sound will indicate rafa status, ina ending sound will indicate nasab status, and ina ending sound will also indicate jar status. For non-broken plural, that is feminine, we will look for the ending sound atun and atin. Atun ending sound, such as Muslimatun, will indicate rafa status, and atin ending sound, such as Muslimatin, will indicate nasab or jar status. We will now move to the study of status of broken plural asma. As we studied previously, broken plural asma are not made according to a formula. Non-broken plural asma are made according to a formula, and that is why we have ending sounds to help us identify the ism status, such as una, ina, atun, atin. The ending sound rule does not apply to broken plural asma. The three forms of broken plural asma follow the same pattern as that of a singular ism. So, for a singular ism, we use double pesh or double dhamma, double zabar or double fatha, double zair or double kasra at the end of the ism to identify the status of that ism. The same rule also applies to broken plural asma. Let us look at a couple of examples. We have the ism Muslim, which is singular and masculine. The three forms of Muslim are Muslimun, Musliman, and Muslimin. Muslimun has double pesh on the last ism, Musliman has double zabar, and Muslimin has double zair on the last ism. Now let us look at an example of a broken plural. We have the example of abwab. Abwab is the plural of bab. Bab means one door, and abwab means more than two doors. So the three forms of abwab that we have are abwabun, abwaban, and abwabin. Abwabun is on the same pattern as Muslimun. Abwaban is on the same pattern as Musliman. Abwabin is on the same pattern as Muslimin. Abwabun represents rafa status. Abwaban represents nasab status. Abwabin represents jar status. Please also note that abwaban is also written in the same pattern as Musliman, meaning the rule to add alif at the end of a nasab status after double zabar applies the same way to broken plural asma as it does to singular asma. We will now study some more examples. Here are some examples of masculine broken plural, and they will occur on the same pattern as that of singular masculine ism. For example, Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. This is an example of the status of a singular ism Muslim. The first example that we have is aqlam. Aqlam is the plural of qalam. The three forms of plural of qalam will be aqlamun, aqlaman, and aqlamin. Aqlamun is the same pattern as Muslimun, aqlaman is the same pattern as Musliman, and aqlamin is on the same pattern as Muslimin. The next example is the plural of shajar. Shajar means tree, and the plural is ashjar. So the three forms of the broken plural of tree will be ashjarun, ashjaran, ashjarin. Aqlamun, aqlaman, aqlamin, ashjarun, ashjaran, ashjarin. The next example is that of qulub. Qalb means heart. The pattern we have is qulubun, quluban, qulubin. So in all these examples, the three forms of the broken plural ism are on the same pattern as the three forms of a singular ism. Like masculine broken plural, the three forms of the status of feminine broken plural will also be on the same pattern as that of singular asma. That is, by identifying the double pesh, double zabar, or double zair at the end of the ism. Ism Muslima is an example of a singular feminine ism, and the three forms of its status are Muslimatun, Muslimatan, and Muslimatin. An example of feminine broken plural is the word Nisa. Nisa means women, and the three forms of the status of Nisa are Nisa'un, Nisa'an, and Nisa'in. Nisa'un is on the same pattern as Muslimatun, Nisa'an is on the same pattern as Muslimatan, and Nisa'in is on the same pattern as Muslimatin. We have now completed our table for the status of ism. For singular asma, we will identify them by the presence of double pesh, double zabar, or double zair at the end of the ism. So we have Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin, Muslimatun, Muslimatan, and Muslimatin. Dual or musanna asma status will be identified using ani and aini ending sound. Muslimani, Muslimaini, Muslimaini, Muslimatani, Muslimataini, Muslimataini. Non-broken plural masculine will be identified using ending sound una or ina, such as Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. And non-broken plural, which is feminine, will be identified using the ending sound atun or atin. For example, Muslimatun, Muslimatin, Muslimatin. For broken plural, both masculine and feminine, their status will be identified on the same pattern as that of singular asma, that is, by the identification of double pesh, double zabar, or double zair on the last alphabet of the ism. For example, aqlamun, aqlaman, aqlamin, nisa'un, nisa'an, nisa'in. We can try to summarize the status of ism on our fingertips. The pattern for singular ism, both masculine and feminine, and the pattern for broken plural, both masculine and feminine, will be the same. That is, at the end of the ism, we look for double pesh, double zabar, or double zair, both in singular asma and in broken plural asma. For dual asma, we will try to look for ani or aini ending sound. Ani will represent rafa status, and aini will represent nasab or jar status. For non-broken plural, that is masculine, we look for the una or ina ending sound. Una will represent rafa status and ina will represent nasab or jar status. And finally, for non-broken plural feminine, we will look for atun or atin ending sounds. Atun will represent rafa status and atin ending sound will represent nasab or jar status. All in all, we will categorize the status of ism into these 5 groups. Let us look at some examples from the Holy Quran. Surah number 90, ayah number 8 mentions Ainaini. Ainaini is giving us several clues about its 4 characteristics. The biggest clue is the ending sound Aini. We know that the ending sounds Ani and Aini are used for dual asma. So, Ainaini must be dual. The translation of the ayah is as follows. Have we not given them 2 eyes? So, Ainaini means 2 eyes. Ainaini's status will also be determined by the ending sound. We know that Ani ending sound is used for rafa status and Aini ending sound is used for nasab or jar status. So the status of Ainaini will be nasab or jar. To summarize, Ainaini is a dual ism. It is nasab or jar in status. It is feminine in gender, as names of body parts that occur in pairs are grammatically feminine, and it is indefinite or nakra, as it does not meet criteria for it to be a definite ism. In the next ayah, we have the word lisanan. Lisanan has a double zabar at the end of the ism followed by an alif. This could mean 2 things from the standpoint of status. Lisanan is either a singular ism or it is a broken plural. Lisan means tongue, and its 3 forms will be lisanun, lisanan, and lisanin. Lisan is a singular ism, and that is clear in the translation as well, which is as follows: a tongue and 2 lips. So, to summarize lisanan, the gender is masculine because it is not referring to a body part that occurs in pairs. The number is singular, it is indefinite in capacity, and the status is nasab because of the presence of double zabar on the last alphabet followed by an alif. Next we have shafataini. Similar to ainaini, shafataini also ends with the aini sound. So we automatically know that it's referring to a dual ism, and it is translated as 2 lips. The summary of shafataini will be very similar to ainaini in that it is feminine in gender because it is referring to a body part that occurs in pair. The number is dual because of aini ending sound. The capacity is indefinite because it does not meet criteria for it to be a definite ism, and the status is nasab or jar because of the aini ending sound. Another example from the Holy Quran in Surah 63 ayah 1, we have al-munafiquna. Munafiquna is giving us the biggest clue of una ending sound. We know that the una ending sound is used for masculine non-broken plural, and from the standpoint of status, it signifies the rafa status. So, for al-munafiquna, the gender is masculine, the number is plural because masculine non-broken plural will have the una ending sound, capacity is definite because of the presence of al at the beginning of the ism, and the status is rafa because of the una ending sound. Moving forward, we have al-munafiqina. As opposed to munafiquna, we have munafiqina. We know that una and ina ending sounds are used for masculine non-broken plural. So, The number of al-munafiqina is plural because it is used for masculine non-broken plural, identified through the ina ending sound. The gender is masculine. The capacity is definite because of the presence of al at the beginning of the ism. And the status is nasab or jar because of the ina ending sound. Please note that al-munafiquna translation is the hypocrites in the ayah, and later in the ayah al-munafiqina is also translated as the hypocrites. So both terms have the same meaning, but they are written differently and pronounced differently because of the difference in the status. Al-munafiquna is rafa in status and al-munafiqina is nasab or jar in status. Finally, we have kazibuna. Kazibuna once again has the una ending sound, so the status will be on the same pattern as munafiquna. So the gender is masculine. Number is plural because of the una ending sound. It signifies a masculine non-broken plural. Its capacity is indefinite because we no longer have the al at the beginning of the ism. And the status is rafa because of the una ending sound. Kazibuna is referring to lie.